Hello, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to the first episode of the Shazzcast. I am your host, Chris, also joined by co-host Ricky Minaj.
What's up?
Here at the Shazzcast, you will always find the latest news and updates within the Tribes community. So, with that said, Rick, how you feeling tonight?
Dude, I'm feeling great.
Are you pumped?
Dude, yeah.
Should be, man, because we've got a lot of great stuff. Stop saying dude? Okay,
I know,
we'll drop the dude. We'll drop the dude.
I know, I'm just stopping myself.
Call you Guy.
Yeah, Guy or bro.
Do people know why they call you Ricky Minaj instead of Ricky?
No, let's leave it a mystery.
Let's leave it like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, guys, let's get down to business.
Brass tacks.
So what we're gonna do, we're gonna talk a little bit about the tournament, and then we're gonna dive right into tribes, and we're not gonna go too in depth. We're just gonna graze over it lightly because there's a lot of content we're packing into this first episode. But with that said, let's do this.
There are a couple good things going on in the Tribes community. A couple things that we're going to be talking about tonight, and first and foremost, it's been 10 years since the release of Tribes 2, and
It's a long time.
that is a very long time.
Damn.
And there's a Tribes 2 tournament. It's a 10-year tournament being put together right now by Toots and Wormwood, so much props for those guys. And it looks like it's going to be a pretty exciting tournament. Lots of players are already signed up. I think we're running on 180, give or take. So with that said, here we are, and there's a couple updates that Toots wants to bring to everybody's attention. I basically just want to state that everything is still going to plan, and the draft will be held on the 20th, which is, February 20th at 7 Eastern. I've been in the talks with Wormwood also. Looks like he might want to do a little bit of a live draft, just to kind of spark the mood a little bit, get people
and
going.
also he's also coding for this game, and he's changing your names. He's gonna give you a tag. It's gonna be yellow next to your name. I mean, that kind of blew my mind. He's actually
Wow, is he really?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's gonna do that? Toots or
Toots,
Worm?
it says it right there on his post. I mean, no post. What are we talking about? Yeah, but yeah. No. He
awesome.
stated that it was gonna be like that.
Wow. Okay, so
Yeah, golf clap.
there you go, buddy.
Golf claps all around
clap.
for Toots.
All right, good job, guys.
Yeah.
We know that it's hard to put together a tournament, so be nice to these guys. These guys they don't have to do it. Nobody has to do it, but these two individuals have definitely put forward their foot, and just definitely a round of applause for those guys.
Yeah. Also, if he can't get a hold of you through the forum, you should probably contact Toots through IRC so that he can get your name down. You know what I mean? If your name doesn't match if your tribe's next name does not match your TWL name, you're probably going to need to meet up with Toots in IRC to sort all that out. That way you have a cool little yellow name next to your character.
Yeah, don't pass up on that. Guys, we're actually in the process of trying to get prizes out there for the winning teams. So I'll let everybody know right now. If we do score prizes to where we can hand out, regardless of whatever they are, you need to do us a favor and make sure that you are at least signed up on the TribesNetwork website. The reason being for this is because we're going to need all your information as far as location. You can private it, so that people don't necessarily have to see it, but we are going to go through our website to make sure that correct prizes are delivered to the correct people. So please, when you register, make sure you're using your in-game tribe's name. It shouldn't be, there shouldn't be any issues whatsoever as far as that. If for some odd reason you do have to choose a different name, just get with one of us, either Cryoff, Texas Terror. What did you register him as? Ricardus Maxim?
No. My registered name is Texecutioner.
Texecutioner. There you go.
Yeah.
Just PM any one of us,
Yeah.
and we'll sort to that. But go ahead and sign up. It's going to make it a lot easier for us to hand out prizes to the winning teams. We're going to be working hand in hand next to you guys to make everything more enjoyable. So
Yeah.
okay, so not a lot of people may know this, but half of us in TribesNetwork.com have played Tribes, and the other haven't. So Rick, you being one of the ones that just started playing Tribes, what's your first impression of it? Like, how do you see it? I'm always interested in people that just start playing this game, what they think about everything, because I know it's kind of a hard game to pick up.
What I wanted to speak to is the jetpack, the mechanic of the jetpack, because when I'm using it, I feel as though it doesn't work like a jetpack in my mind would work. It works as if it accelerates the movement in the direction I'm moving in, not where the jetpack is thrusting in. I believe it works differently than how you would think it works. But once you get used to it, I mean, it's a pretty interesting mechanic because you can, if you use it sparingly, you can really, I don't know, it's called skiing, right? You can,
Yeah.
You can, you're very maneuverable. It's very different. I mean, it takes some time to get used to, but when you learn it, I feel like, man, like I can really, like I can go from this part of the map to that part of the map, and it feels, it couldn't be more than half a mile across. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, like.
Yeah. No, it isn't. It's its own physics. It's its own animal. I mean, it's definitely not like a real life physics engine or anything like that. It's totally been scripted and edited and programmed to accommodate the game as it should be. So, no, that's a good point though. I mean, that is good. That's definitely a true statement.
Yeah. But I mean, that being said, the game. I mean, for a game that came out in 2001, it couldn't be more satisfying to get a kill, to do a cap, to succeed in that game. It's pretty exhilarating, and closing the gap between you and your enemy and actually destroying them is, I gotta say, it's gratifying.
Yeah,
really
no,
great.
it is. I mean, from a 1 versus 1 perspective and a team perspective, I think that's where Tribes 1 and Tribes 2 really nailed it. Is that it's gratifying when you kill one person or two, and it's also gratifying if your team, beats the other team, whether it be arena, capture the flag. It doesn't matter because you're always having to work towards that, and it's not always easy. I mean, it's a really hard game to first off learn how to play, much less put a team together to where everybody knows how to play the game and understands it. So they really nailed it on that. So hopefully they can bring that to the new Tribes universe.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we've said about as much as we want to or can say. We're going to take a break now, and when we come back, we're going to have an interview with Todd Harris. I mean, even if you're not into Global Agenda, which is what we'll be mainly talking about, he can't speak to Tribes Universe at this time, but even that said, I mean, it's still going to be an interesting interview, and you should probably listen to it even if you're not interested in Global Agenda, just for the insight alone, just so you know the headspace of the people who are at the helm of this franchise. So,
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Our flag is secure.
Tribes 2. Take up arms and fight with up to 64 other players online. Take the battle offline through an entire single-player campaign. Maximum intensity. Grand strategy. Cunning tactics. Deliver carnage from above using an armada of air vehicles. The virtual battlefield of the future has arrived. Tribes 2. A multiplayer phenomenon. Team combat on an epic scale. When you fight together, you win together. Use your jetpack and go vertical to engage in aerial combat. Tribes 2. Play it at home. Take it online. The sequel to the 1999 online action game of the year has arrived.
So my name's Todd Harris, and currently working at Hi-Res Studios, and I got started as a programmer basically when I was in junior high, and this was way back when, first gaming machine was Magnavox Odyssey 2. No digital scoring on the screen. There were little pegs that you had to move when you played Pong. Legitimately old school. And my dad actually worked for IBM, and he brought home one of the first IBM PCs off the lot. They actually had an employee lottery around who was going to get the first manufactured PCs, and we were lucky enough to get one early. So that definitely whet my appetite around gaming, and particularly PC gaming. And so that was a hobby and a passion in junior high and high school, and that led me to computer programming, thinking that one day I'd get to make games, and actually wrote a few games and sent them out to colleges as part of getting in and getting my computer science degree from University of Chapel Hill. I grew up in North Carolina. And but after getting out of UNC, I turned to business software instead of gaming. There really weren't that many jobs available in gaming, and I'd done some internships writing business software, and that's actually what I did for about 15 years was program computers, and then that led to team leadership or project management and managing teams of programmers. And along the way there, I started working with a gentleman named Erez Gorin. That wasn't the first company I joined, but it was, again, maybe 10 plus years into my career. And he had a startup that was doing business software, and I came to work for them and help manage some of the programming efforts. And Erez was a big gamer. He wrote a few games for the Atari, and he and I, as well as some of the other management team, really all the management team at Hi-Res, worked together at some of these business ventures. They ended up being successful, made quite a bit of money for Erez, and in 2005, he decided it was time to finally get back into gaming, which is where we all thought we'd end up eventually, and that started Hi-Res Studios. Yeah, 2005 we started with kind of that core management team and some programmers that we had worked with, and we're just really sharp programmers, and started adding in more designers and artists and built Global Agenda, and now of course working on the Tribes project as well.
Okay, well, that's interesting. All right, well, with that said, I guess you kind of led it into Hi-Res Studio, so I'm going to ask you a quick question. What's a day's work like there in Hi-Res Studio?
A day is never like the day that came before it. We keep really busy around here. At this point, in addition to Global Agenda and Tribes, we've actually got a third project, not announced, but that we have a team around. So very, very busy. We're aggressive as a company. I think we took on a pretty ambitious scope with Global Agenda, and we're doing the same thing with the new projects. So there's always more on people's plate than they can get to every day, and that's kind of the way we like it. So we're a very playtest driven studio. So actually right now while I'm talking to you guys, I'm missing out on the Tribes playtest.
Oh, really?
There's folks inside, playing the latest version.
Oh.
And just about every day we will play a version of all the games that we're working on. And every day they change quite a bit. We're very playtest driven. We kind of start with the combat mechanics and the gameplay, and for us that's really most important to get right and nail. And everything else, whether it's art or story or even kind of setting and some of the other world supporting elements, all exist really to support the combat mechanics around just solid, fun multiplayer. And that was our approach with Global Agenda. It's the approach with the other projects as well. So some portion of every day, maybe it's only half an hour, maybe it's an hour, we're play testing the game as a group. And the rest of the day, people are just heads down, cranking, trying to get as much done as they can and make the best game possible.
Exactly. That's good to know. I'm going to go ahead and have Rick. He's going to ask you a couple questions here, and he'll kind of take it away there.
All right. All right, Todd. What's up? How's it going?
How's it going, Rick?
It's going good, man. Now you were talking about your the process there of the way you guys play test and whatnot. And in an interview or with Game Theory Online, one of your guys talked a little bit about your design methodology, which he called Scrum style agile design. Can you speak to how that came about? How that style of methodology came about?
Yeah, so Scrum, it actually, the word goes back to a rugby term where you've got all these guys around the ball, and it looks really chaotic, but somehow the ball moves forward with each play, at least ideally. And that's kind of how it looks inside a game studio, or at least our game studio. But there is actually a formality to it, and a lot of it comes from the business software world and is only more recently being used by game companies. But more and more game companies are using it, including some great ones like Valve and others, where play testing is key, and very short sprints where you're demonstrating functionality is also key. So kind of the old style of design in software and in games was someone or a group of people came up with the design Bible, and then they handed it to another group to implement it, and then at the very end maybe another group came in and tested. And if along the way something wasn't fun or didn't exactly gel, it was kind of hard to make that adjustment because, well, you got to go back and adjust page 53 of the giant game design Bible, and how does that affect the other thing? And it became hard to deliver great games when more and more people were working this way, and certainly hard to be responsive. And so a reaction to all that is a different way of doing things, which is sometimes called agile or sometimes called scrum. But the basic idea is you still have your high-level list of everything you want in the game, your design Bible, but things are not spec'd out in detail. They're more general, high-level visions and goals. And then every 2 weeks, some studios might do it every 1 week, some might do it every 3 weeks, but generally around 2 weeks, there's a sprint identified, and we're right around that 2-week sort of ballpark, where every person on the team has a goal, and it leads to something that's actually can be demonstrated in the playtest room that everybody can see and see whether it's working or not. So, a sprint might be get the first vehicle into the game, or, make sure skiing feels awesome. But some high-level goals that can actually be tested, and the team can evaluate whether it was hit or whether it needs to be iterated upon. So that's really how we work. Is we come up with a high-level goal, and then we have 2-week sprints where everyone on the team is focused towards that goal, and you can actually see in the playtest room whether it's working or not.
Wow, it's pretty interesting. And well, I kind of want to talk about Global Agenda. I mean, this was a relatively new company, Hi-Res Studios, yourselves. This was your first title, and what was sort of what made you want to jump into the MMO market? And not only that, but more specifically, you guys jumped into the FPS MMO market, which, I mean, didn't really have a title that was pretty successful.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, other than, certainly PlanetSide is a game that a lot of people reference as the first FPS MMO, and it had some degree of success, certainly a loyal following of folks. But for us, it was really the blend of the two game types that made it interesting. I mean, we had a lot of people at the studio that liked MMOs. Specifically, they liked the character persistence and the idea that the world is persistence. But they also liked FPS and shooters and just kind of that fast action gameplay. And so really at the highest level, the thought was, hey, what if we could combine the two? What if we could have gameplay that was fun and rewarding in itself? You play a 15-minute match or a few of them, and that's fun just for its own sake. But then anything that you add on top of it, as far as leveling and persistence and maybe a skill tree and maybe itemization, that just makes it even better and makes you more attached to your character in the world. So that was really the high-level idea, and everything else was kind of supporting that.
Okay, and I mean, obviously you're an independent developer. Would you like to? Are you guys planning to maintain that? Would you like to stay independent? Is that something that you guys are interested in?
Well, independent definitely gives us a lot of flexibility because we can do what we want with the IP, we can do what we want with design, and probably most importantly, we can also be really close to the community. We can do things like this podcast and not have to have a kind of a middleman in the way saying what we can say and what we can't say and that sort of thing. So we think we make better games that way from being closer to the community. So we definitely want to keep all those aspects of being independent. Really, the only place that we might look at partners is, as we grow as a studio and as we look at potentially in the future, other platforms beyond the PC. The PC is a great platform for independent developers, but if we were to look at something like the consoles in the future, that's where a publisher, just because of the rules right now, from Microsoft and to a lesser extent Sony, encourage that and kind of mandate that. So
right.
That may be one area that we need to work with a partner, but we definitely want to maintain the independent status as far as being able to fund our own projects and release them on our own schedule and come up with a design, and after the product's release, keep an ongoing communication with the community and keep updates coming and that sort of thing.
Okay. How does player feedback play into the development process, i.e. your Sandstorm expansion and the decision to go free to play?
Yeah, well, both of those were very much a direct result of the Global Agenda community. I mean, when we launched Global Agenda, and it's just a little over our year anniversary now, as you guys know, and it was a much smaller scope game than it is now, and we launched with the idea of it being subscription based. And so the business model change was really a result of seeing how people play the game. A lot of them played it as a pick up and put down shooter, and they couldn't really, in their mind, justify a subscription for it. And I think even if we had had a lot more content, to be honest, just because of people, how they play the game and how they categorize it in their mind, it still would have been hard for them to justify subscription. So we abandoned that and went to the buy once plan, and kept kind of the free trial aspect. And then with Sandstorm, and that was kind of a controversial moment. If you look at the global agenda community, some people absolutely love Sandstorm, some people long for the old days before Sandstorm, but we definitely see it as something that broadened the reach of global agenda. At the core of the game, it's still just a squad-based shooter, but players who might not have thought they would like a shooter-based persistent world game, Sandstorm kind of gave them a more traditional MMO experience to start with, and kind of led them into that shooter experience. So it's been a really good addition, in my viewpoint, just as far as bringing more people into the community and broadening the number of people that like that sort of game.
Okay. And how do you feel about the reception of Global Agenda from the press or the public? Was it in line with what you guys had originally thought of, or how you guys felt it would be received?
We're generally pleased with it. Your own baby. I'm a father of two, so my kids are the most beautiful kids in the world, of course. And so the press may have called my baby a little bit uglier looking at times than I would have liked, but that kind of comes with the territory. Some people like different types of games. I think the thing that, if you look at the initial reception to Global Agenda, the fact that we were a hybrid, that we kind of had one leg in the shooter world and one leg in the MMO world, that made it kind of a challenging game for the critics to review. There's just practical considerations like, which reviewer do they hand this to? Do they hand it to their MMO guy or their shooter guy? And because or gal, because people may specialize in one or the other. And if they, in their head, were categorizing it against other shooters and scoring it against, a Call of Duty or that sort of thing, they had one list of criteria. If they were looking at it against an MMO, they had a completely different set of criteria. So that challenge of being innovative in our minds makes it a little bit hard to review. Plus the fact that anything that's an MMO, it just demands a lot of time to get to the good stuff and really get attached to your character. So there's also kind of a minimum number of hours before a real substantial review can come out. So those sort of things, I think, would be a challenge for any shooter MMO, and were a challenge for Global Agenda. But what we're most pleased about is the user reviews, across the board, are, from an average standpoint, high, and that really matters, the most to us. So, most pleased by that.
And obviously, games like Tribes and Global Agenda, they're very team-based and skill-oriented shooters. And the modern shooter market aims more towards the casual audience. It's much easier to pick up a game like a Call of Duty or a Battlefield and to learn the mechanics right off the bat. How do you guys? What are your thoughts? Do you prefer the more casual approach to shooters, or are you guys still you're rooted still in the hardcore?
Well, I think, ideally you have a balance of that where it's accessible to jump into and you feel like you're contributing, maybe even if you're not contributing all that much at the beginning, but it's not that obvious to you. And then with each, successive gameplay hour, you learn more of the depth. I think that's what the original Tribes games did so well. That's certainly what we try to accomplish with Global Agenda, by having PvE in the game or by having mercenary PvP, where if one or two players aren't performing right on task, then it's not going to completely tank the team. But when you go to the other extreme of pre-made teams in Global Agenda, teamwork becomes paramount. So, the ideal game gets both of those things right, where it can provide a pick up and play, satisfying experience, but also where the best teams clearly dominate the weaker teams. And I think Global Agenda, does a pretty good job of that overall, and that's the type of game that we still enjoy in high res.
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Todd, as we wrap this up, a couple more questions. Rumor has it that you personally own a jetpack. True or false?
No, I do not personally own a jetpack yet.
Yet. All right. Good answer. Is there anything, our last question here, is there anything that you would like to speak out or say towards the Tribes Network community?
Just appreciate the interest. I know we've been kind of quiet, very quiet lately on the forums and Facebook fan page and that sort of thing. We're heads down, like I said. Most of the company is in a playtest for it right now. And really we expect to have our next update around the PAX East time frame, which is, I think, about a month away. Until then, we're still just busy honing the combat and making sure that feels awesome. So appreciate the interest and look for the next update that's Tribes related around the PAX East time frame.
All right, Todd. Well, thanks a lot. Again, thanks for the opportunity, allowing us to do the interview, and we look forward to more in the future, hopefully. So with that said, I guess we know you're busy, so we'll go ahead and let you go and get on with your day. But thanks a lot, Todd. Appreciate it.
I'm going to go strap on my jetpack.
All right. Have a good day. All right, guys. Well, that was Todd Harris from High Res Studios. We hope, we got a few good questions answered.
He's handsome.
The point of this interview is really for us as a Tribes community to kind of go in there and better understand our new franchise holder. We have still lots to come, guys. Todd also said basically that we're going to be doing a follow-up interview.
Todd said.
And also, Todd basically said that we're going to get more information during PAX, or I guess a little after PAX. If they're going to, I don't know if that really confirms if they're going to be a part of PAX or not, or if
they're going to be at PAX.
I have no idea. We don't know.
But they're going to be releasing information in that time frame.
Right.
So,
but what else do we know? They also mentioned that another game was going to be.
Yeah,
they're working on another game.
On a third title. Maybe Global Agenda 2, Spy Boogaloo. Possibly. I don't know.
Sandstorm 2.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Todd said, y'all.
Todd said. Yeah. So we're going to see how this plays out. We're up for another interview. We're going to hopefully by that time frame. I believe that's a month from now. Hopefully there's going to be a little bit more information about Tribes Universe. It'd be really nice if the alpha will.
Hopefully the Yeti will be set to interview mode.
There you go. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's not talk about the Yeti.
Yeah, we're not going to bring up the.
Yeah.
We had some technical difficulties.
Should we tell him?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. You guys might wonder. Okay, we have a really nice mic. It's like a THX certified mic, the Blue Yeti. You guys can Google it, whatever, or YouTube it. It's a very nice mic. Well, idiots, we forgot to put it on interview mode whenever we were talking to Todd Harris, and so that's why it kind of sounded like he was almost in the background talking. We actually had to do quite a bit of little editing and I guess up and down on the voice volumes.
Some post wizardry.
Exactly, and we were pretty upset. So that won't happen again. We apologize. No. It's going to sound.
Oh, it better not.
The next time that you hear Todd, he's going to sound just like this. So.
Yeah.
But what else?
Also, you should totally subscribe to our RSS or subscribe to us via iTunes. Review us on iTunes, and you should check out our other podcasts. That's
right.
That should be going up sometime soon.
That's right. Absolutely.
In the near future.
And we have room for 2 more. So if there's any of you guys out there that think you can handle a podcast, maybe a group of friends,
shoot us an email.
Let us know. Give us your ideas and get ready for those voice samples because we want to hear what you sound like. It's got to be quality stuff. So
it's just
bring good content.
Yeah.
Just bring good content. That's all we
bring
ask.
the content.
Well, with that said, guys, it's been a pleasure. We hope you enjoyed the show. Look forward for probably in a couple weeks. Look forward for another little segment, maybe kind of wrapping up the 10-year tournament for Tribes 2.
Also, and we'll also be going even more in depth with Tribes, more with the way the terrain is set up, how that affects mobility, and also the interior environments, how they are also designed. The geometry is designed with jetpacks in mind.
That's right, absolutely. Actually, a month from now, whenever Todd is ready for his second interview, we will basically go in and just talk about the essence of Tribes. We will dissect this game, bring a couple people from the community on to, give us their inputs and thoughts, and let's break this game open and let's see, what's in the store for Tribes Universe in the future. So, thanks for tuning in, guys. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Ricky Minaj out.
Africa.
Dub Africa, are you serious?